Well, hello everyone. Here to show you the energy art coloring right here. As you see right here is that I went ahead and add in details. You got the water heater right here, and along with it says the water faucet in the bathtub, and then right here as you have right here is the sun, and then of course fireplace, and along with the automobiles, like for cars and trucks. You say is automobiles and other would you say travel with vehicle transportation. It could be buses, or it could be trains or metros, stuff, vehicles like that. Anything that relies off of coal, and it's like solar energy and stuff like that. But basically, talking about with energy, that with most of us probably think about is that which I remember that this was that this was a course, a real a memory about a real paper that I went ahead and did, kind of like this right there, with that, they were called, what you say is resolutions. It is, I think it's called resolutions, but you would write a paper about whereas, and whereas the reason to why that we use it, whereas the reason to it's an issue, something like that. But I remember that one of my resolutions, of course, was talking about is that one of them was talking about energy, about fuel efficient vehicles. It was, and then of course the other one was about subjects, and which I'm sure with most schools that they could probably think about is that if you go to school a lot of times with most kids, they could probably think about it. It's like there are some subjects that are required, such as basic basic science, or maybe psychology, or any subjects like that. And at the time, even whenever you're in college, I heard that whenever you're in college, or if it's a military school, or anything like that, that more likely that you're going to have requirements, that the subject requirements it is. And I just really think, I guess see, that's all about the requirements of, say, college courses. It is. But basically, talking about is with energy here. Most of us will probably think about is that with the sun, I used to say the sun, who knows how old the sun is. I would say at least 2 billion or 2.3 or so billion years old it is. But anyway, we could probably think about it. It's like if we do our research, our homework, that about the sun, about really about the type of energy the sun gives off before the early 1700s. It was before the very first car that came out on the street. It was, and then of course about the water heater that we could probably think about is like this yellow tag right here. The yellow tag, which as far as I remember was would represent the type of energy that's using that whatever that's used, if it's propane, if it's gas or electric or propane operated, it is that you have right here is that yellow sticker right there. But all this reminds me of a story that my dad, I remember that he replaced one of the water heaters at the old house where I used to live when I was young, and I remember that it was it hadn't been replaced in nearly 10 years or so. But I remember that it was, I think it was a gas powered water heater it was. And with most of us, say if you're familiar with gas water heaters, it is that know about it's like they say they got a pilot light, and I guess they call them a pilot light, to where that if you would have to light it with the match. There will be like you say go ahead and draw right here. Go ahead and draw like an example right here. They say that you got the water heater and the pilot light, and a lot of times will be on the left side right here. As you have, it's like that a lot of times is that require you to say light a match, and then there'll be like a compartment right down here where you would light up where you were to go ahead and light it up, so that way it would start the water heater. It is, you got the compartment right here for the water heater that it'll light up, and then from there, and then it would light up, and then you'll be able to operate the water, just by heating up the water system. It is. And I don't know about how long it takes usually to to heat up the water. But anyway, I remember that my dad had replaced one of those water heaters at one time, and I remember my grandpa being over there at the house, and he was looking at the old water heater, and it's like that it was one of those kind that had a lot of rust on the bottom. It was, and I remember that he was mentioning that he's like, man, that is. That thing is just rotted, the smell. It's like rotted the smell, or, I don't know how he worded it, but he was like, yeah, it was, the water heater that my dad bought us a couple of years ago may have been about, maybe $800-900 for one of those things, but then on the other hand, too, it's like that they are expensive, and I guess depending on what kind you want, that I never bought a water heater before until I get experience buying a water heater, that, but the thing about it is like how much it is just to have it replaced, and which most places, I guess, if it's True Value or whatever, that you would be able to buy a water heater from, and a lot of times that they say that they all vary by the type of tank that you want, that by gallon it is, but other than that, it's like talking about with water heaters that we could probably think about. It's like what the president's speech is talking about. It's like energy, reliability. It is about getting into renewable. It's like clean energy sources. It's like natural gas. It is, but it's talking about with the dream right here. Is talking about with the dream is with most of us, with most of kids going to school, young kids also think about it's like with that. A lot of times whenever you're in school, that they don't really ask you too much about, every once in a while a teacher may ask you, but then every once in a while they may just go by, it's like what's in the book it is, but I kind of know how that is, but basically is talking about is like if you have an idea, for what you want to use, for a cool invention, it's like so far as knowing about how it works and then talking to the right people, such and such like that more likely people would more likely be interested. But you have right here is for energy art, is talking about with the fireplace right here, is with the fireplace that the fireplace would say is like had a couple of them before, and a lot of people would probably say that yeah, you put coal in and you got the gas burning. Water here, the one gas burning fireplace, and then you got the water heater as well. But then other things that of course that use energy, such as motors, as other types of equipment it is that uses that natural energy furnaces, and then of course it could be oil mines, as that oil rigs, or stuff like that. But anyway, but basically talking about with energy art is the stuff about with the water heater that would power that would use the power that you use to be able to connect both the hot water line, and then I guess both these lines right here. I don't know if they would be converted to different parts of the house, or if that's the fact that the cold water goes in and then the hot water goes out, stuff like that. But anyway, it's talk about it's like the study about energy. It's like about making the education real for real education. It's talk about the story and study about that's like that you would think about is like about with water purifiers, or if it's water softeners or anything like that. The study about technology, the study about energy. It is with technology and energy that we can also think about. Of course, is like what's in it that makes it do what it does, and we could probably think about that. That that of course needs to be invented first, and then the study about how it works. And well, we all know that more likely that that of course the study about how it works, and then the study about what it does and what's in it. And a lot of people would probably say that they really don't want to take the time to really study about how it's developed, or really about what it does or whatever. But then on the other hand too, that you probably think about is that the important part about it is that with the green energy is like for green energy right here is knowing about in energy. But you have right here for green energy is the person who maybe invented, would you say, is who invented, maybe, discovered ethanol, or say something that that would power the breaker it is at, to say at the electric company, whatever it is. But other than that, let's talk about the study about how it works. And more likely you could probably think about is that that's what you say is for the dream is a dream for real education about is how it works, and then to share with others about really about how it works, and then of course it's to which they do research about how that works. But on the other hand too, that we can also think about is my word of saying is that if you were to have an idea for maybe a new invention, or maybe about knowing about your education is teaching yourself the basics about. It's like a lot of people probably think about is a dream of a real education, knowing about the story and then the study. It's like at the time, it's like begin to wonder. It's like really about how did I used to write my name back then. It was like it's like in these scribbly letters it is. And of course it's like if you want to do a study, if you want to pick a subject such as you say is history, if you want to write a report about history, it is. And then they go by, say it's like in a other than an Osmobile, is like you go ahead and pick a car in mind. It could be a Chevrolet or anything like that. Pick a car in mind. What kind of engine does it use? And I'll just go ahead and use the VT this 620. I'll just use that as like an example right there. The V2 620. I guess the Vito Tecan. The Vito Tecan 620. I guess that would be kind of like a name for an engine. And then of course about how what type of fuel it burns, and then of course what type of fuel it uses, and then of course the mileages, stuff like that, how it works basically. But other than that, it's like talk about with energy art is is like that. It's like thing about it, it's like who talk about this is is like with the letter M. Okay, with the letter M and A, it's like A as it is like for my grade, and then of course it's like the M, it's like for who I am. But other than that, it's like here, it's like you got right here is for energy art and energy art coloring.